Hello, thank you for joining us in ISC MENA 2021. My name is Mohammed Al-Sammarraie. I'm a cybersecurity public sector head based in Saudi Arabia with Trend Micro. Today, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity vigilance and resiliency in light of the 5G era. So we're going to be looking at challenges and strategies that face cybersecurity decision makers in light of the increased adoption of 5G. To start, we must admit that most cybersecurity leaders have been historically focused on protecting their digital assets, and all of their investments, or many of their investments, have been actually going into the thought process of how do I actually increase the protection in my network or organization. However, due to the continuous challenges and changes in attack techniques that we have been witnessing in the past few years, many of those leaders have started to look into how do I be more prepared to deal with a cybersecurity incident or attack? How do I ensure that I'm able to recover from such an attack? And how can I be sure that the business will actually not be affected? So if you look at traditional cybersecurity tools, many of them have been focused on prevention. But this has proven to be inefficient or incomplete. In order to provide protection in today's world, an organization needs to actually invest in a wide set of tools that will cover prevention as well as detection and response. So it is vital when it comes to dealing with the massive challenges and exposures that are going to be coming with 5G to actually look at these areas separately. So to understand the impact of the 5G technology from a cybersecurity perspective, we must first take a look at what kind of characteristics the technology of 5G has itself. Well, as most of you know, the first one is that 5G actually brings much faster data speeds. If we actually look at it in comparison to 4G, we're looking at 100 times faster speeds. So that is an important point to note, because traditionally security has been looked at as a bottleneck when dealing with the network traffic. The second one is 5G actually brings ultra low latency. So we're looking at huge enhancements to latency in the technology itself. The other thing that 5G also provides is that it provides for much greater density. And this is a key point, because this is actually going to be one of the key enablers for 5G to be at the backbone of IoT adoption globally. And the last one, of course, is that 5G also facilitates for a much lower energy consumption. And this will also help with the explosive growth in IoT and 5G adoption across the globe. So if you take a look actually at all the characteristics of the 5G technology, everything is going to be exponential. So we're going to be looking at adoption going from millions of devices to billions. We're looking at speeds that are going to be multiplied by 100. Everything that we're going to be dealing with is going to be upscaled to a very large scale. So the impact is going to be also massive. So if we fall behind in terms of cybersecurity and resiliency while dealing with 5G challenges, the impact is going to be extremely, extremely painful. Now we will look at the challenges that 5G brings from a cybersecurity perspective. First of all, attack surface. IoT device capabilities will grow considerably with 5G enhancements. Currently, a lot of these devices that are going to be used to control a wide range of functions and processes, they will be actually sourced from many different vendors. We're looking at stuff that will control traffic signals, to factory machinery, to even smart cars. The expectation by the GSMA that 5G connections will grow actually from 10 million by the end of 2019 to 1.8 billion by 2025. And since many of these devices are going to be sourced from multiple vendors, this means that a continuous monitoring of the vulnerabilities that can be taken advantage of by attackers will be more difficult. Hence, we're not only looking actually at about an increase in the security blind spots in the network, but we're also looking at an increase in the security posture management across the enterprise. The second challenge is going to be around congestion. Often, network security solutions are actually designed to monitor network traffic in real time. So inspecting the traffic in many cases inline as it comes in. The increase in 5G speeds means that the data transfers that are going to be much faster than the current solutions can handle. This will actually create a solution where a network can either be less secure or have to be extremely slowed in order to keep it secure. The third challenge is related to the economies of scale. You see, historically, the economies of scale in cybersecurity have always been at the advantage of the bad guys, because a single attacker can launch several attacks, which would trigger tens of thousands of alerts that would need to be investigated and looked into. This is why increased adoption of technologies such as XDR, which also leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning, will play a pivotal role as they tackle this challenge with 5G adoption. The final challenge is going to be around severity. So when 5G is discussed, often the discussion is around the speed, latency, and cost. But we also should not undermine the security and severity of successful attacks on IoT devices, for example. Just to give you an example, imagine the impact of someone gaining unauthorized access to a self-driving car or a critical device operating in a hospital or in a power plant. All of this will actually increase the severity of any cybersecurity incident. So we're not only actually going to be dealing with the volume of potential exposures, but we'll also be looking at a higher severity for many of those exposures. So now we look at what strategies we can actually adopt in order to be able to deal with these challenges. Well, first of all, we should be looking at upfront investment. Why is that? Because of the exponential nature of the growth in 5G technologies. You must not fall behind and plan to invest upfront. By providing the right tools and technologies ahead of time, such as network and endpoint XDR, for example, you can be better positioned to deal with these threats and this massive inflow, I would say, of alerts. Perhaps this is where we can apply the notion of flattening the curve in cybersecurity. The second strategy is around integration and threat sharing. Many organizations have actually been adopting a best-of-breed approach across a lot of areas for many years in cybersecurity. Unfortunately, this has led to greater inefficiencies in dealing with cyber threats and has put a bigger burden on security operation center teams and incident response teams in the organization. The main approach to solve this is to look at tighter integration and threat sharing across these investments. We have personally seen many customers, for example, who have invested in vulnerability scanning and management solutions, but have not been able to take that investment a step further by integrating the report and intelligence gathered from these solutions into a proper defense strategy, where these vulnerabilities are actually protected from across the network. A good example for that would be, for example, an IPS sitting at the network, being able to gather those, get those feeds and provide prevention for all these vulnerabilities from a network layer perspective. Having so many operating systems and devices in 5G era will also introduce a larger attack surface and blind spot, as we discussed. A key measure to deal with this is to invest in technologies that will increase your visibility across the network. This is a key area where traditional inline products will provide little value, and a more robust, out-of-line complex analysis of network traffic is going to be needed. Finally, you're going to actually need to tie all of this together by adopting a strategy where automated prevention is deployed. This can only be achieved through carefully looking at various defense systems and understanding how a detection from one part of your defense system is going to be automatically translated into a prevention on another system. A great example of this is how Trend Micro's Deep Discovery Inspector is able to create auto rules once it has actually seen a backdoor and detected it. And it will also get that backdoor stopped by creating an automatic rule on a tipping point IPS, all without the intervention of any single human operator. So this brings me to the end of my session. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box. Thank you.